Afternoon, welcome to the Rams review. Owen Bradley with former Derby captain Sean Barker alongside. Derby County have another point on the board, but they missed the chance to leapfrog Portsmouth this afternoon on a dramatic day at Fratton Park. It finished 2-2 on the south coast. Drama at the start of the game, Jakob Vidal-Zedestrom saving Colby Bishop's penalty to keep the game level, and then the game burst into life 20 minutes from time. Jerry Yates headed Derby in front. Rob Atkinson equalised just 60 seconds later before his own goal restored Derby's lead. But a minute into added time, the defender popped up again to share the points. Loads to talk about with the former Derby skipper alongside. You'll hear from John Eustace, the Derby coach, shortly as well. Big picture is that Derby stay out of the relegation zone after a late defeat for Cardiff. We'll show you all the results and the table before we go. With 4 games to go, Barks, anything could still happen, but let's talk about today first and foremost. Was a point fair? How do you feel after that?
A little disappointed. I think because you're going into such a big game, you lead twice. Your actions after obviously conceding that first goal to then go back ahead with the 2-1. It's difficult to not be disappointed at the end when you concede so late on, and such the magnitude of the game, the fact that it's 2 goals from direct balls into the box, and we've been so good at that recently. So yeah, a little bit of disappointment, but it's another point on the road. They don't get any more ground to separate the gap. So yeah, a tough probably finish to what was quite an entertaining game. Yeah,
we'll get into the details of it all in a moment or two. First, let's get some reaction from the head coach, John Eustace.
Yeah, it was a crazy game, but you know they make it a really difficult game here, and I was really pleased and proud of the efforts of the players and the fans especially. Really got us through that second half, and really disappointed not to see all the game out and come back with 3 points. But also pleased that we come here and made it very competitive and got a point in the end.
What did you like in the performance then? So you certainly created plenty of chances.
We did. We knew we'd have opportunities on the break, on the turnover, and I thought if we were a little bit clinical in the final third, we could have scored more goals. But delighted with the 2 goals we scored. Just the manner that we conceded the 2 goals was again disappointing, because we've got to be better on the set pieces. We have been excellent, but both goals could have been avoided for sure.
It was quite a chaotic start, which probably summed up the rest of the game. Penalty save from Jacob. I suppose that was key, not to give Portsmouth that early leg up.
Absolutely. Again, it took us a little while to get into the game. Richie got in behind our back 5 a little bit too easy, but Jakey came to the rescue there. I think we should have had a penalty as well up the other end just after that, so that was disappointing. But listen, we showed great fighting spirit today. The whole club should be very proud of the effort today. We're all disappointed, of course, that we didn't come away with 3 points, but I think a lot of people would have writ us off coming here and expected Portsmouth to run all over us. So, really delighted with the effort of the group again.
2 well-worked goals as well, from your point of view.
Yeah, it's the areas that we spoke about, how we knew we could hurt them. So, no, that's pleasing.
In terms of what you saw from the team then, and you mentioned that Portsmouth are very strong at home and maybe written off by some, what is it that they do here that makes it so difficult for teams? And also, how did you feel that you sort of countered that?
We obviously created chances. We had a couple of good. We scored a couple of good goals. They made the game very hectic. They put a lot of long balls forward, pick up a lot of second balls, sustain attacks, crosses in the box, which they're excellent at. And overall, apart from a couple of times, I was really pleased the way we defended them.
You mentioned fighting spirit there, and I know we speak about it a lot in the interviews, but again, it's just there for everyone to see that this group of players and supporters and staff are fighting for every point at this moment.
Yeah, that's what we're all about. This is the Derby County family standing up for themselves and home and away, putting that 100% effort in, the commitment's there, and we've got another 4 games now, I think, 4 huge games coming up, and it starts on Friday at Pride Park.
You mentioned Friday then, Luton coming to Pride Park. What do you want from the supporters? Is it just exactly more of the same where they've had Pride Park rocking in the last couple of weeks?
Yeah, I can't ask for any more from the supporters. They've been fantastic. They've been our 12th man home and away, and I'd expect no difference on Friday.
4 cup finals to come for John Eustace and for Derby County then after today's draw at Portsmouth. So many incidents to talk about, Sean, not least I suppose the number of yellow cards that we saw in the game, maybe 10, 11, 12 in the end. But let's start at the beginning with the penalty save from Jakob Vidal-Zetterstrom. I know he gives the penalty away. I think I've got a bit of sympathy for him given the slip for Matt Clark and the issue there, but more than redeemed himself, the goalkeeper.
Yeah, he did. It seemed to take an age for Bishop to actually step up and take the penalty. He was looking across at the referee, waiting for the whistle. He didn't hear it. So eventually it was waved on. At that point, it seemed such a long time that you felt it would be a little bit more difficult for Bishop. And Zetterstrom had to guess the right way. He did. It wasn't a great penalty, but he still had to get down and make the save. So there was not much you could do when Richie got in. As the manager mentioned there, Richie got the wrong side of Clark, which hasn't happened too many times of late. Zetterstrom stuck a leg out, and it was up to him to try and make the penalty save, which he did, and keep it at 0-0, because if they'd have got an early goal, it could have been a difficult afternoon. It was a big save and a big moment.
Zetterstrom made another good save first half. Marcus Harness hit the woodwork, so it's sort of even at half time. Makes sense of the final, I guess, 15 minutes, but really 5 minutes from 70 to 75, and then the equaliser that comes in the end, because Derby go in front twice, and you would certainly hope that if you go in front twice in a game like this, you would go on to win it.
You'd hope, but you're right. I think you would presume that we would, with how defensively resolute we've been over the last few weeks. We give up very few chances, but in that first 45 minutes, we felt that neither team took complete control. It could be a little bit scrappy. There was lots of free kicks, lots of set pieces, yellow cards throughout the game. It ended up being a bit of a fight, but both teams looked likely to get goals, whether that's because the attacking positions they got in, or whether it was because the lapse of concentration in the moments defensively that both teams looked vulnerable. And the frustrating thing is you get yourself ahead. A great ball in from Fozzie. Jerry Yates, great header, got the wrong side of the defender and finished well from close range. Then at that point, how quickly kind of euphoria to disappointment, because Atkinson gets on the end of a set piece, and we've been so good defensively of late, so good at clearing boxes, first phase, second balls. Atkinson gets the run, gets the goal. Emotions flip quite quickly again, because you score quickly, and Atkinson, the emotions he must have gone through in that second half, scores the own goal, and at that point you really fancy seeing it out. We had a couple of chances to go ahead even further. We didn't. They were all going to push in the last 10 minutes or so. They've been a team that have scored and won so many games at home of late, and it was about staying alert, switched on, and unfortunately we let the big man free again, and he got his third goal too in the net that he wanted. So crazy few minutes in the second half, quite a strange kind of hectic game. The positive is we scored goals and we come away with something. The disappointment is the two times you get ahead, you've got to stay ahead in terms of the discipline, the detail, the defensive unit. And of late, we've been that kind of team. Today, unfortunately, in the second half, we weren't. So
often, relegation six-pointers don't live up to the billing. And often, actually, they end up in draws, as we've seen between Derby and Portsmouth today. We talked before the game about the remaining fixtures for Derby. You said you were looking at all five and saying they were winnable games. But when you look at Portsmouth, when you look at how they played at home, when you look at what was at stake for them as well today, stepping back, do you have to be happy with a point, do you think, if you're Derby?
It's relevant to the situation you find yourself in. Before the game, maybe you take a point. I think so, because, you're playing Portsmouth that have got good home records. They make it very difficult for teams visiting them, and we're away from home. And, of course, our away record hasn't been great this season. So at the start, yes. But then what's the context? The context is we've well in the game, we've had chances, we've got ourselves ahead twice. So at that point, that disappointment naturally kicks in, because emotions are kind of based on the game that you've just seen. And the game we saw was a winnable game. We got ourselves ahead twice and unfortunately let ourselves down in the box. Again, we haven't been like that recently. So if you were getting yourselves 2-1 up with 5-10 minutes remaining, you'd fancy us winning the game. Unfortunately, that wasn't to be. You can't be perfect defensively, and you can't defend the box perfectly all the time. Unfortunately, this big game, this big moment, the great opportunity to drag Portsmouth further in and to take ourselves further away from danger wasn't to be.
Let's bring you some more reaction from Fratton Park. Here's Kane Wilson.
Yeah, it's a good point, but it feels like 2 points dropped, if I'm being honest. Obviously, we were in a winning position, and then to concede kind of, it's obviously it hurts, but it's one of them things. We've got to pick ourselves up and go again. It's a point gain, not 3 points lost.
The timing of the goals and the manner of them probably a little bit frustrating as well.
Yeah, that's probably the most disappointing thing, I think. That's what's probably upset us most. Gaffer kind of expressed to us then how he felt like we played really well. I give a really good, valiant effort, but two rubbish goals, for being honest. A set piece and then a long ball into our box that just gets flicked in the goal. It's never how you want to concede. Not that you want to ever concede, but especially not in that manner. So it's disappointing, but we've got to pick ourselves up. A massive game against Luton now.
Like I say, we'll pick ourselves up, and there were real moments of promise again going forward. We attacked really well at certain moments, didn't we?
Yeah, exactly. I felt like we had so many good chances that we could have scored. I'm just trying to think now off the top of my head. I can't think of too many where I felt like Pompey should have, other than the penalty obviously that they missed. Great save from Jacob. That I can't think of anything where I'm like, they've missed a sitter there, whereas you can think of 3 or 4 where we could have easily scored. So I think on the face of it now, it feels like 2 points drop, but it might be crucial come end of the season.
It is a point, another step in the right direction. Do you still feel like you've got some real momentum going to these last 4 games? Yeah,
I feel like we've got real momentum. Obviously, we haven't lost. We've had 2 unbeaten now, start a new record. It would be amazing if we kind of back it up now, going into Luton. But obviously, we have to keep pushing and try and stay in this division.
Like you said as well, it's another huge game on Friday, back at home in front of our fans.
Yeah, massive game. Obviously, Pride Park's always to our advantage. We've seen that so many times this year, especially since Gaffer's come in. He's really tried to make that a fortress, and we can use it. We can use it to our advantage.
That's Derby defender Kane Wilson. Results from the Championship weekend then. Big wins at the top for Burnley and for Leeds, but a massive defeat for Sheffield United away at Plymouth at lunchtime, which really changes the complexion of the relegation picture once again. Stoke's win at Cardiff has had an awful lot to say about that as well. Luton lost at home to Blackburn. That's a really crucial defeat for Luton. We'll show you what it all means for the table in a moment. Oxford United, crucial win for them at Sheffield Wednesday, while West Brom stay right in the mix for the playoff places with their victory over Watford. Hull play Coventry on Monday night. That one's important at both ends as well. Here's the table then. Leeds top on goal difference from Burnley. Sheffield United now suddenly 5 points back. Just shows you how quickly things can change. Bristol City have a 4-point gap to West Brom and to Middlesbrough in the chase for the playoffs. At the other end, Derby stay out of the Championship relegation zone tonight and move a point clear of Cardiff. That goal difference could yet be important for the Rams as well, don't forget. Oxford surge clear. Stoke open up the gap between them and the relegation places as well. But as it was at the start of the day, still 8 points separating the bottom 8 after Plymouth's victory this lunchtime. Still all to play for with 4 games to go. If you want more reaction to today's game, it'll be on the website dcfc.co.uk. The place to go for that. We'll be back Friday. Derby, remember, in action twice over Easter. But for now, from me, Barks, and the rest of the RamsTV team, goodbye.